Just three ordinary people from the hills of eastern Kentucky. We don't have all the answers, but we do have all the questions. This is the Just Add Bourbon podcast with Jimmy Don, JD, and Don.
Welcome, everybody, to the Just Add Bourbon podcast. I'm JD Dameron.
I'm Dawn Giesica.
And we're back tonight with our interview series is back, our Other Side of the Glass. Tonight we have one of our good friends of the podcast, a trans friend of mine. Her name is Alexa Adams. Everybody give Alexa Adams a nice warm welcome.
Yay!
Thank you for having me on.
She's my friend too, JD. I'm taking her too.
She's my friend first, though.
My friend too. Oh, thanks, Alexa, for hanging out with us tonight.
You're welcome. I'm so excited.
So we've got Alexa on here tonight. So as you all know that watch the podcast, and we've had a lot of debate going on, really, in the trans world. A lot of things going on in the trans world, and just to be honest with you, it's hard for us to give you a perspective on it. You know, as a cis white male, as a cis white woman, it's hard for us to give you perspective. So I reached out to Alexa after last week's episode, and after getting absolutely roasted in the comment section last week, I reached out to Alexa and I said, Alexa, I'm stupid. I'm an idiot. I'm ignorant. I don't understand. Please teach me. And then she decided that she would be willing to come on and teach us and give us her perspective and talk about growing up trans.
Yeah.
And all those things. We're super excited to have you, Alexa. I will say this before we get started. I love everybody out there, but we want your comments. We want your participation, but we're not going to take up any kind of rudeness to Alexa in the comments. I will kick your ass right out of here. So with that being said, Alexa, thanks for joining the Just Add Bourbon podcast.
You are welcome. I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. So I think we're going to start out with a little pop culture news. I know, Alexa, we was talking about Kanye in the pre-game show here, the pre-show.
Right. Well, as girls, you know, we kind of watch what goes on with other women. And for the past probably 2 months, wouldn't you say, Alexa, maybe a little longer, Kanye West has been kind of having these little meltdowns, and he's been posting them on social media. Are you aware of any of this, JD?
Like, I know what's going on. Like, I've seen people like memes and stuff, but I don't really like.
So I guess
he's going after Pete Davidson or something because him and Kim are together now. Yeah,
and it's beginning to get a little. He's crossed a lot of lines. Clearly, he doesn't. You know, he's been diagnosed bipolar, so he does have some issues. So we have to be considerate of that. But at the same time, we also need to, as society, recognize when a female is being attacked and bullied, and put a break on that. So he got canceled, I think, didn't he, Alexa, from performing at one of the award shows?
That is relatively new news. So I'm not 100% sure. I think that he's canceled from performing at various events because it's far more than just Pete Davidson. It's a plethora of people.
Yeah, and he just keeps going on and on. I mean, it's
but it's not funny. It's truly not funny. Hi.
No, it's not, and it's just another example of what women go through in their day to day.
So, like the memes I've seen on this Kanye Kim thing is like, I guess he's like really, like he made a video maybe like about killing Pete Davidson or something like.
He did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean,
like a claymation. I think that's what they call it.
So it's like the celebrity deathmatch thing. It's like, you remember that? Is that what that's kind of like? Ain't that claymation?
I think, yes, and he beats him up and then puts him in the ground. I mean, it's pretty out there, but that's what our society does now when they have something that they don't agree with, right? Remember the whole Kathy, Griffith, is that her name, Griffin, that did the Trump thing? I mean, people are, just kind of losing it, and we're all watching it. We're able to watch it now just play out. So it's a weird time.
I mean, but how much, so here's my problem. Like with Kanye, I don't think it's an act at all. Like, I really think he has legit mental illness. Like,
he does.
Because he can't not, that dude is bipolar. I'm sorry. He's everywhere. He's all over the place.
Yeah.
But the guy's a genius too, though, right? Like, as far as
he is
fashion and music, like this guy's apparently off the charts.
Yeah. They say his documentary is great. Like it shows his mad genius.
I think he's probably a genius, but at the end of the day, like, especially with mental illness, that's been a word that keeps being brought up. But when is your mental illness becoming abusive to other people? That's the
Right.
thing. And when if that was your friend, if Kim was your friend or whatever, you'd be telling her to
Run for the hills.
get a restraining order.
Right.
As somebody who was friends with a murder victim, I will tell you that it is serious when it's not a celebrity, when it's not somebody that has all this extra security. Yeah.
Remember, she has all these resources that regular common women don't have.
Yeah.
I think Sam made a great. I love this. This is pretty good, Sam. Mental illness isn't an excuse to mentally abuse your ex.
Yeah.
I think it's
That's
well
right.
put. Absolutely.
It's the truth, Samantha. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Lex, I want to get right into it now with your what we brought you here to talk about. So tell us, I really, Dawn, do you have a better way to start this out? But I just want to know, like, first off.
No, really, we are so
ignorant.
I'm going to be honest. The way that the PC culture has positioned the trans LGBTQT community, they've made it so delicate that we are all scared to ask anything. Everybody is scared because the left has also created the cancel culture and the doxing culture and all these things. And now they're trying to get out of that. So now you're seeing people push back. But I will say, I have seen some rhetoric come across my Facebook. JD and I were talking about this when the trans athlete that went to Penn State and did the swimming competition and won.
Leah Thomas,
Pennsylvania. Yeah. So I saw some rhetoric come across my Facebook that was concerning. But don't get me wrong, it's concerning on both sides. But it's more concerning on the fact that there is a community that seems to have a large portion of people who are very attacky in their words with no regard to mental health or how it may affect them. I'm fully aware that the trans community has very high suicide rates. More than half have attempted to take their lives. 86% have had suicidal thoughts. So we have to be delicate in how we handle everyone, really everyone. But I'm not really seeing that a lot and right now I would say the right, and it is the right, but I'm also seeing it from my middle friends too. So I want to know what it is like day to day to live your life, especially in Huntington, West Virginia.
I'm so glad you asked that. So it might be a little shocking to you to know that I truly live an abnormally normal life.
That's great. That's good news.
Yeah,
Right?
I live an abnormally normal life. I definitely. A lot of these things are. We were discussing in the opening and the pregame that a lot of times you see cisgendered voices giving voice to trans people, and at the end of the day, that doesn't reflect our opinions. That doesn't. It often doesn't. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. You rarely see a podcast or a show such as this one bring on a trans correspondent, and I thought that was really cool. So super excited to be here and answer all these questions and kind of get a trans take on things.
So I guess I do have a question, and I've been trying to word this question all day long, but I just don't know if I can
word
do it
it
any
however
better.
you want. Just spit it out. It's
I
good.
don't know if I can do it any better than. Tell me
good.
what it is to be trans. Like, what does that mean?
Good. So probably at my first cognitive thoughts and experiences and things like that, I have always felt like I'm a woman. And I always say this to my friends, like when I'm trying to explain it to them, because I've had a lot of people ask me that. Gay men, starting there, should be so extremely proud of who they are. I, however, never felt like a gay man. You know what I mean? I felt as though I was a heterosexual woman. And I was adopted at birth. I had a lot of different things going on. A lot of people felt like maybe it was a identity crisis, that kind of thing. But it has literally stuck with me probably since the age of, I'd say maybe 4 or 5. Like I always felt like a girl. I just always liked girly things, wanted to hang out with girls, wanted to wear makeup and do hair and things like that. So I think that was probably the very, very first.
So in those early days, did you experience, how was it going through school? Because everybody goes through some form of bullying in school at some point. Did you experience that at a heightened degree, do you feel, or was it just normal? And I want to say, I'm really in your camp, because all the trans that I know are the same. They say they live a normal life, that they don't know where all this hyped up, like political stuff that we see comes from. Yeah. And the same with my Black friends. When BLM was going through town, they were like, I don't know who's burning these towns down. Like, so I wonder too if there's a lot of media spin to try to keep a lot of confusion and things stirred up all the time too. So I'm glad to hear that your day to day is very normal.
Very.
Yeah.
And so how old are you, Alex? I don't even know how old you are.
I'm 34.
Well,
Yeah.
I know I'm not supposed to ask a woman her age, but
No, you can tell she's a baby. So when you were going through school, when did you start transitioning? Like, so you were born a boy, and you were dressing and identifying, because you didn't know any better. You were a child as a boy. And then when you started getting your cognitive abilities more fine-tuned, and you started feeling like you are a girl trapped in a boy's body, how did you come out to your family, and how did you start transitioning? Did you start wearing, like, my daughter goes to school with a trans, and it started in kindergarten. So in the fall semester, he was a he, and in the spring semester, she was a she. And we just, I thought the school handled it beautifully. And what we did was, I'm sorry, another 18-year-old trans. You want to read that, JD?
Yeah, I appreciate Ruthie tuning in too. So I'm a mother of an 18-year-old trans daughter. She is embraced by our community here in Lexington, in her high school, Lafayette. We were from Eastern Kentucky, where she would never be accepted. And that Ruthie's not wrong. First off, like, she would have a really harder time here in Eastern Kentucky. There's no doubt about it. But I do feel like we're making progress in those areas.
I do too. Yeah.
Especially the LGBT community. So as I understand the plight, Ruthie, I get it. I agree with you. She's gonna be way more accepted there in a big city where people see, have more experiences, have more life going on, just more life there. But I think we are doing better here in Eastern Kentucky. But
I'm from Wayne, West Virginia.
Oh my God, you're from Wayne.
Yeah,
okay.
That's
Wayne, West Virginia.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. Alexa's making us look less hillbilly, and she lives normal day to day, and hasn't had no problem,
So, how was it growing up in Wayne though? I need to ask that. Like, as a trans woman.
Well, growing up in Wayne, honestly, I did not grow up as a trans woman. I grew up identifying at that time as a gay man. And, I, of course, some bullying, that kind of thing. But you know what? I have definitely found that in my walk of life, I've definitely found that kindness goes a long way with a lot of people. And when you're kind to people from the gate, no matter how they look at you or how they act, that doesn't mean be disrespected. But when you're kind to people from the gate, you get a good reputation, and I think that can often help that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I didn't transition until I was 25. So
okay, so you was out of the house, you was out living on your own, living your own life, and
But you started feeling that around 5, 6.
Oh yeah.
So was you able to express yourself to your parents and your siblings, or did you not really know yourself what was happening?
Oh, I got so many questions now.
I had no idea. I had no idea what was happening at the end of the day. No idea. Honestly, I just felt like maybe I didn't fit into a lot of those boxes and things like that. So I didn't exactly know where I wanted to be and who I wanted to be and that kind of thing. I always felt like a girl, but then I was like, no, push it back down. Like, don't act on it, and don't, maybe it's abnormal. Nobody else feels this way, or something like that, something along those lines, possibly. Yeah.
I couldn't imagine, I told you I have a immediate family member that's transgender, and I couldn't imagine feeling like I was trapped in the wrong body. That's a lot. That's a heavy burden for anybody.
Okay, so I'm getting to some nitty gritty stuff here.
Okay.
A lot of people, and this maybe versus Don maybe disagree with me or you here, but like 5 is young, right? I mean, talk about these are some very serious issues. Like, this is your sexual identity. This is who you are as a person. So, do you know anybody personally who identified maybe as a woman young and then maybe started transitioning, was like, and then decided, no, maybe that's not the word, or is it always pretty much, if you know at 5 years old who you are?
That's a good question.
So you're asking the question, JD, if I know somebody that has detransitioned, is that what you're saying, that decided to follow that path at a young age and then decided that wasn't for them?
Yes,
I do not know anyone along those lines. No.
What do you feel about, because you had probably what I would consider, and I'm ignorant to this, but what I would consider the best way to transition, because you were able to have some time to really kind of figure it out. So I do have questions, and I would have pushback on like parents and who allow 5 and 6 year olds to start transitioning with, and they push for these hormone blockers and stuff because that seems so young. Mm-hmm. And I do think that people probably need a little more time. I mean, even if it's to 10, because 5 is 5. I mean, hell, I wanted to be a horse. Like I legit grew up on horses, and I thought I want to be a horse. My daughter wanted to be Elsa. I mean, you know, I wonder if there is a limit. If the trans community looks at some things and goes, you guys are pushing this a little too much on very young kids. What do you all think about that?
I do align with that. Yes. I do think in some cases it's case by case scenario
for sure.
But there's certain limits as to where you can allow your child to identify and feel that way without going through all these procedures. The first thing that I would tell any parent or anything like that is that you should get your child to a mental health care practitioner that would be able to speak with you and your child about that, and you can learn how to cope, and so can your child. That's super important to me, and it's something that that I kind of feel it's so important to instantly get them into a mental health care practitioner.
Totally agree with that.
Are you glad that you waited so late to transition, or do you wish you would have been able to transition earlier?
And that's a loaded question.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be a loaded question.
No. It's okay, because there's a lot to unpack with that.
Okay. My intent was not to be loaded up.
But, sometimes when I'm talking to my friends, I kind of think back like, wow, I really would have enjoyed having the experience of going to prom and wearing a really dramatic gown and that kind of thing.
Right.
Right. Yeah. But no, I do not regret waiting because I wasn't ready. I wasn't mentally ready. I wasn't, whatever. There was nothing about me that was ready to go through those things. I think that the time was right. I after kind of talking about transitioning and talking about the way that I felt, I think that I waited about a year still until I started presenting female in the public. Yeah.
Right.
What is your faith? Did you have any struggles with like prayer, and did you pray about your transition? Did you, because we're all religious in some way, it seems like there's only a small amount that's not. So how did you go over that?
I'm a very devout Christian, and I definitely left my faith for a while. And I think that was a me learning, you know what I mean? I recently found my faith again, not that long ago. And it's about the fact that I can say I am a trans woman and I am a Christian, and that's how it is. I believe in God and all those things. I go to church. Right. And I'm super happy. I feel like I'm the most centered in my life than I ever have been.
Oh, awesome.
Right.
And
and I agree, because when someone is not fully centered, then you really can't have a healthy relationship with God and Jesus and move your faith forward if you're in some type of like mental disarray, whether it's in that community or whatever. Anything. Yeah. So, okay. So you had to go through all of that too. So you had, this is a lot. I'm learning so much, because my family member is Christian as well, but I know some Christians who say, "Oh, she's not Christian because her life is that way." Don't you, JD?
Yeah, I really I don't know, Dawn. I'll be quite honest with you. I'm here in East Kentucky where there's not this kind of diversity a lot, honestly.
Oh, okay.
But I could see where Christians would have the kickback on it. But it's almost like, well, what do you want us to do, man? I mean, can we be forgiven or not? Like, you know what I'm saying?
And when you mentioned your loved one that is a Christian, I said good, and I want to reiterate here that I said good because I am happy that she feels that she can find that faith again, and she can worship and that kind of thing.
She said the same.
I celebrate all religions, and I have a lot of friends that are, you know what I mean?
She said very much in line with what you did. Like and same with me, I have to have my faith bounce me back. Like if I make a mistake, then as soon as I make the mistake, I'm like, I shouldn't have done that because I'm supposed to live this way and I'm supposed to do that. So my faith is what keeps me centered just as much as it is yours. But yes, I know some Christians that would definitely wonder if gays, that entire community, gays, trans, everybody is truly, close to God. My answer to that is that's between a person and God. It's not for me. I can't determine who's going to go to hell and heaven. That's not for me. I'm only responsible for myself. So I'm glad to hear that you were able to have a Christian community that you could lean in on, and that faith. That really blesses me, girl. Like, I love that.
So
it makes me feel good too.
Yeah.
You said that you always felt like you was a woman trapped in a man's body from very young age, from 5 years old up to 25 at least. So what is it? I mean, can you compare that feeling to anything else like that you've ever felt? Like, I mean, it had to feel like your whole identity was just off, right?
Well, and on top of that, like I casually mentioned earlier, I'm also adopted. So there's that. I don't know my birth parents. I don't know anything like that. So I've actually been on a journey with that as well. And I've been documenting it pretty well on my Facebook and that kind of thing. I've been undergoing DNA tests, that kind of thing, to unlock the person that I am and delve far deeper into, of course, I'm a trans woman. I recently found out that I am a Latina trans woman.
Okay.
Girl.
So there's that. Yeah. And, so I'm learning every day about that and learning about that culture and that heritage that I've been missing out on for 34 years. So
isn't that crazy what you learn when you do? I did 23andMe.
Crazy.
And I learned a lot. I learned a ton there. So
I'm so scared of those things.
You haven't done it? Let me tell you, you can go down so many DNA rabbit holes, can't you, Alexa? Like I just dive in there and just swim around trying to connect all the dots.
I just want to be 1% African American so I can hit them up in public. That's all.
Well, okay.
Well, believe it or not, that 1% usually comes from a very tragic narrative and very tragic storyline. It usually comes from slavery and that kind of thing. That but seriously,
But yeah, that's right. You're right.
That's a thing that people find about their heritage and that kind
of thing.
You guys are all over the topic, and I won't switch it to me, but I had a decent percentage of African American in me, and I'll tell you, but I'll tell you how it popped up. Literally on my middle finger, I have a black stripe. You all won't be able to see it on here, but I had a black stripe come on. And Alexa, you know this because you probably had to learn nails and stuff. So you know how you have to look at nail health? Well, in healthcare, when you get these black stripes, you think that it's melanoma. I had to go to the dermatologist, and my dermatologist is like, you need to look into your heritage. You have African Americans somewhere. And I'm like, oh no, I've got Native American. And it turns out that wasn't the case, that it indeed was Ghana. Yeah. So
that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. From Ghana. So there you go, JD. You're learning all kinds of stuff about me and Alexa both tonight. So I don't want to hear a thing about it anymore.
Good stuff.
Anyway, back to you, Alexa. So when you were journeying through school, how did parents of other children, were you ever excluded from play dates or things like that? I mean, how did all that work out?
I don't feel as though I was excluded, especially by because that's very, very sensitive how mostly I had girlfriends. If I think back, I probably had one really good male friend in school, and I don't feel that I was excluded. Clearly, I was excluded from sleepovers and that kind of thing that were probably more geared toward girls. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I guess I did miss out on that, but at the time I didn't think that I was missing out on it. No.
You still wasn't. I went to like two of them and thought, okay. And then I stuck with my two favorite friends. One of them watching tonight, and that's just who I hung out with. Well, you know how it is now. When you get into gaggles of girls,
they're mean sometimes.
You are ferocious, bro. Yeah.
It's complicated. You usually just have your handful that's really close, and that's how you go about it. So, what age was you when you started hormone therapy?
I'm okay. So, under federal guidelines, you have to live in your preferred gender for 1 full year or longer, depending on your mental health care practitioner and where they feel that you're at in your mind and in your progress toward the person that you're becoming or the person that you should have been all along. But they started me on that really, really slowly. They made me do about 6 months, and then my therapist was like, I really think you're ready to go ahead and advance to the endocrinologist. And they put me on estrogen from there, and later added in a testosterone blocker. So
sure. What were your effects of taking your estrogen?
I was in a lot of pain. Believe it or not, a lot of chest pain right here. This muscle, when your body's changing like that, this muscle right here, as you're growing and your fat is redistributing, this muscle right here it rips away. And imagine cutting hair all day like this, and your body's changing, and this muscle right here is being
tearing
ripped to shreds.
Yeah.
So I have a really weak chest wall right now.
Well, no, estrogen's powerful. I'm estrogen dominant, and so I know what the effects are. Did you feeling like mood swings and things like that go with it, or just all of the physical pain stuff? What was your journey like?
I don't feel like my mood swings were any different than before. You know what I mean? But I did feel a lot of physical changing. It was a lot of pain. There was a lot of muscle pain and things of that nature that I think people don't talk about a whole lot.
Yeah.
I thought I was having a heart attack. So that was a big deal. And then I later learned that it was just the growth of the fat redistribution and that kind of thing.
Because JD, you get to witness my hormones once a month.
Man, once a month ass. I witness your hormones.
I do. I come on here when I'm PMSing, and I tell everybody, I'm like, look, I'm PMSing. I'm doing all I can do.
And everybody's like, all right.
I mean, well, so you relate. Estrogen is
not to brag, Dawn, but I don't have to go through that.
I know. My friend was like, I wish I could have a period. I'm like, are you crazy? Why would you want a period? Like, you don't need periods. Estrogen in itself is enough, to just make things a little wild. As you see how powerful it is. I mean, it affects everything.
So I want to kick back just a minute. I've read a bunch of articles. I think this stuff's fascinating. But I've had people on the right who have a lot of opinions about trans people too. And one of them said that, was a girl was talking about she was a tomboy when she was 10, 11 years old. And thank God they didn't make her trans.
I read that. Yeah.
Is that really the same thing though? Yeah. Is that really the same thing as what you was going through?
No, because let me tell you a secret. Let me tell you something. And here was my cold take of when I read that comment. I know exactly what you're talking about. I thought in my head, I was like, I'm sure you didn't cry yourself to sleep every night and wish that you were someone different, and just kind of like, even to the point of hoping like, is there something after this? And maybe I'll get the opportunity to finally be a girl in my next life. All those things I was going through in my head. It's very different.
Yeah. I don't think it's even comparable. Who said that? I don't know.
No, those
Tommy Loren or something like that.
Probably. I don't know.
You know what? I hate to say this, and this can be my pageant answer. I don't hate her. I really.
I don't either.
All right, this podcast is
I watch her sometimes. Believe it or not.
Yeah, but
I watch her sometimes. Yeah.
But I do too, but I'm the conservative on the show. So, and people are like, you sound socially liberal, and it's because I'm more in line with a conservative libertarian. So I'm more of, yes, I'm conservative, absolutely, especially like when we get on the abortion stuff and things of that nature, military, fiscally responsible, all that stuff. I just don't align with JD's ideas. And that's okay. He doesn't align with mine, but I'm with you. I like Tommy, but she's sometimes, and this happens on the left too. They say the craziest things just to get views and clicks. Yes, JD, a headline. And that's why I wondered, circling back all the way around to the beginning of this conversation, because you are, I know a handful of trans now, and none of them are what I read about. They're just like me.
It's back to cis voices trying to give voice to trans opinions and that kind of thing. So I don't know that you're hearing 100% the opinion of people who have been through this. So that's super important. And I hope the world will realize that and realize that we have liberal people and conservative people, and then in the middle we have radicals from both sides that are causing all these problems and making it all
which is why this podcast was founded, just to be honest with you.
It was. And we've worked hard, haven't we, JD, to get away from like extreme views on this podcast.
Absolutely.
Like we'll call JD out all the time because he's extreme. Well, did you not catch that at all? I just rolled that in so easy.
Yeah, I know you did. Yes.
I'm just kidding. No,
here's the bus. Here goes JD.
I'm just joking with you, but no, we really try to balance each other out, because we say that all the time. The two parties want to keep us fighting each other. That's how they keep and get power. Once we ever figure out that, hey, we've got more in common than not, then we can actually be the ones with the power and not these politicians.
So, with that being said, we're about ready to have a little debate, I think. Because I'm really interested in your opinion on where you fall on trans women competing against cis women.
I knew you were going to ask that, especially with the news lately. And I really, from when we talked the first time to today, I have been trying to go over in my head what I think about that. And I have never been an athlete. I played soccer like 2 years in school on a gender neutral team. So that was nothing. But I've really been trying to think of who I am when it comes to that. And I think that I've come up with the idea that I don't know. I think that it is a case by case scenario. I don't know what the answer is to get to get everyone satisfied. And now everybody's not going to be satisfied ever, but to have these people be represented and to have people feel as though they're not I don't know the term, kind of kicked out of their
displaced,
what they've worked so hard for, and misplaced. I don't know the answer to that, but I think that there has bound to be one out there. You know what I mean?
I would agree with what she said. I do think it's case by case. I'm a little concerned about legislating things. So although I think that we should have some definite rules, possibly even legislation on higher end sports, I feel that we probably need to stop on the elementary, middle, and high, because those kids are going through so much anyway. So I don't really feel like I could 100% support the Republican Party. I get what they're trying to do, but I don't know if I can 100% support the fact that they are banning trans sixth graders from having a place on a sports team. Now, with that being said, because this is what I do, I debate, right? So with that being said, I look at the other side and then I think, well, my daughter tried out for the basketball team in 7th grade or 5th grade, and she didn't make it. Sometimes you're just not going to make it. It doesn't matter if you are wanting to be a girl or wanting to be a boy. You still have to be able to you still have to be able to bring something to the table. And sometimes, so I wonder about the legislation part. What do you think, JD?
I think it's a loaded question, honestly, and I ask it, but it's an important thing because it's what's going on in the news today, right? What I think is I'm much more open to allowing trans women who started hormone blockers early to compete against women at an earlier age. You know what I'm saying?
On what level?
Like
past high school or under high school.
Well, if they started hormone blockers at 6-7 years old before puberty, then I think they can. It's fine for me because they don't have the. They don't have the
advantage of going through
that testosterone gave them. During puberty. Right. And I know we take hormone blockers, and trans women they transition to take all these blockers, But I tell you, I know a lot of good friends of mine who lift weights and they take steroids and they get these big, huge gains and they get off those steroids or that test and they lose a lot of those gains, but some of those gains they don't lose. They keep them.
Yeah.
And so they're still with the unfair advantage. So it's but I don't want to exclude anybody either. You know what I'm saying? There's got to be a place.
I actually have a question.
Okay.
I have a question, and I prepared this today. I was like, I'm going to ask them what they think.
All right.
The storyline in the news and all of this, it is always trans women. Why?
Yeah.
Why? We have trans men out there who play sports. Why is it always trans women?
Yeah.
That's what I would like to know.
That's a good point. That is a good point.
Yeah, because trans women beat most of the cis women. That's why, honestly, male puberty. Now this is fact. Male puberty makes them stronger. Female puberty makes us weaker. That's just how it is. If you have a boy and a girl, like I do, I've got 2 boys, 2 girls. My oldest, Holden, he lost his mind in 6th grade because Reagan was taller than him, and he's this boy, and he's like, when am I going to grow? What's going on? And then now he's 6'3", because he got stronger, bigger, and faster. She did not. She got a little bit taller, and then we declined. That's just science.
I think it's deeper than that. I think it's deeper than that, though. I really do. I think our perception of women is weak, though. Like, and because there's a professional fighter who's a trans man. And guess what? He took somebody's spot.
In what weight class?
He's like 140. He's a fighter.
So put him up. Well, we've got.
He fights men. He fights men. And beats them.
We have elite cis women that can beat men. Okay, so that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is
let me finish my thought here real quick. Because I just feel like as a society we've always talked about protecting women. The women are the weaker vessel. So it's just beat into us as a Christian nation, as a Christian, especially this region, that we want to protect the women and children, But like you said, there are some elite women athletes,
right? And
the same thing has happened. It has happened where this fighter, this trans man, is beating the shit out of these cis men,
right?
And that trans man displaced the man, right? But does anybody care about that?
No, because that's going to be very little. You're not going to hear about that much. You're just not.
But I think it's because of the way we perceive women, though. A lot of it is. That's just my opinion.
And I'm the cis.
Am I off base?
I'm the cis. Well, I don't think it's so much. It does have a lot to do with the Christian culture that we have. However, it is also truth. If I put my daughters up against my sons, I promise they're going to run faster. They're going to be able to hold off a robber if somebody's trying to home invade. They're going to be able to hold them off easier than what my 2 girls are. Todd's going to be able to do that easier. You're going to be able to do that. That's just part of it. It doesn't mean, because we're much stronger physically when it comes to giving birth and pain tolerance and things of that nature. But when it comes to physical, male puberty is what it is. It's meant to make you guys strong. That's what you do. And then when you get estrogen, like me and her, honey, you just heard her. Estrogen's not a great time. I mean, it has its benefits for sure, but it certainly did not make Alexa stronger. I can tell you that. It brought her back. Am I not right?
I think that is accurate. Yes.
Yeah, because she's a girl, and we're just not like you, JD, who is a dude. Thankfully, because I don't want to have to carry a suitcase. I don't want to have to carry suitcases and stuff. Although periods suck, I don't have to carry everything.
First world problem girl there.
I know. I make Todd carry everything because I will carry nothing.
So tell me about dating, Alexa, a little bit. How's that? First off, no, I'll just let you tell me about dating, then we'll get to the question.
Oh, just go ahead and ask it. Do you?
No, I don't know how. Are you upfront about?
I see what you're saying. Yes, always.
You do?
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. I think that's a great strategy.
Yeah,
tell
I think
straight
it's a
up.
good strategy too. Yeah, because for safety reasons, I think, right?
And
or is it disrespect?
Safety.
Yeah.
Huh?
And how does that go?
So usually I'm trying to think back because during this entire transition of mine, I've been in a relationship, and he's actually sitting right over there. He's making sure
Yay!
everything's going good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's sitting right over
Well,
there,
we
just right
love
out of the
her,
camera.
so we love her.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, he's sitting right over there making sure everything's going okay. I don't know what he
Okay.
thinks he's gonna do, but but yeah, so my guard dog's right there. Yeah, no, I can't even remember. What do you think? Do you feel like you knew right away, right? Like you knew right away that I was trans? Yeah, you knew. So
Well, hats
I
off,
told him right
hats
away.
off to him because he's choosing to see the person versus all the complexities that goes with people. And you have to hats off to people who are able to do that because a lot of people push back on that. You know, because like I said, I have loved ones that are trans, and two of them don't tell. And
really?
As you saw my
yeah, it makes us and when you're out as a group and you're watching sports and then the game goes off and then everybody's starting to drink cocktails and stuff and then you have these beautiful women who are being approached. Trust me, the whole group gets tense because we feel like these men need to know before anything happens, because if they don't, everybody's armed in this country. You're afraid they're going to come back and shoot up the place. You never know what a response is going to be.
And there is also a trans murder rate in America as well. Like that is a problem too in inner cities and in other areas. I don't know that it's so much here, but what's stopping it from being here? You know.
Yeah.
And I wonder how much safety is in not disclosing.
Yeah, I'm like you. I wonder if it's because like I said, two of them I know will not even discuss. Like Alexa is here to educate and inform and show us that this is a normal human being in a normal female life. That's what she's doing. But they choose to like remove all of their past, like pictures, and then you get in trouble. And, oh, girl, can you help me with something? Pronouns. I mean, what the heck? The pronouns that are thrown around by the LGBTQ community, what is up with all of that? And like binary and non-binary, I don't know if you know that, but can you kind of guide us on that? Because I don't have, to me, you got a dude, you got a girl, and this is what they do. You got two dudes, you got two girls, and this is what they do. And then I stop. Like, I don't know what
I understand. So I'm also on a learning journey about that as well. I have always felt as though I am a female. And I have a lot of loved ones and a lot of friends who are non-binary. They go by they and them. Some of those friends, it will rely on how they are presenting that day. For instance,
what does non-binary mean? Like they're not girl or boy?
They usually represent they and them pronouns. Now I'm giving you the most basic that I know because I am still learning. I certainly never ever want to offend somebody. And I'm learning that I can give you an example, and I feel like maybe that would be easier. I have a lot of friends who perform, who do drag, and when they are presenting female in drag, I refer to them as a she, and when they are not presenting female anymore and they are as their normal self, as their everyday life that they live, I refer to them as a he. Or if they have told me that they prefer they pronouns, I will go by that as well. Again, I am still learning. It's still kind of a thing that I am trying to invest my mind.
I think we're all. We lost her.
Oh no.
Well, maybe she'll sign back in.
Yeah, I feel like I'm
because I'm just now starting to really grab things. Yeah. She's informative as she could be.
Yeah, there she is.
Yay!
Hi, girl.
Everything just stopped. I don't know.
It's okay. So non-binary is when they don't conform to male or female.
Okay. In some cases, non-binary non-binary can mean a lot of things. They could conform. Many people who are non-binary conform to male one day and female the next day. Male, it can go many, many, many ways. Sometimes they only do they, and then sometimes they only want to go by presentation. That as well is a thing.
Well, I learned on that. I can Google that stuff, but I learn better if I'm
Talking to somebody, yeah.
hands-on and talking. Yeah. And it sticks more with me.
So what about like your name? Is this the name you just picked, or how did Alexa come about?
Well, my name's Alexa Adams. My
Right.
dead name was actually my last name, so I just switched names.
Oh.
I picked the female name that I wanted, and then changed it at the courthouse. Changed it on my driver's license and the gender marker on my driver's license. West Virginia is actually one of the most liberal law states for trans people to change those things.
Mhm.
You can do it with a simple letter, as opposed to Indiana. Maybe that it would be a lot harder for someone to get those pronouns changed on their documentation.
Yeah. It's in Indiana. They're the one that's, the governor just vetoed the law I was talking about, JD. He's a Republican. He vetoed the law and he said, look, we've got to make sure that we have a place for youth trans. And then the House, though, has enough votes to override his veto.
Yes.
So
I did hear about this. Yes.
So that's interesting. You know, it's all complicated all the way around.
It's very complicated. So for me, I can just, go to my doctor, get all of my letters and that kind of thing, and they will allow me to undergo. And I said I wasn't going to talk, but it's just cut and dry. You can get your letters and they will allow you to have the procedures and allow you to change your government documents and that kind of thing. So, West Virginia is a pretty good state for that.
Well, that's good to hear.
Good.
That's very good.
I didn't expect that from West Virginia. Good for them.
Oh,
good.
yeah.
Right,
West Virginia is probably one of the easiest, legally easiest states.
Yeah. Well, West Virginia is pretty much, hillbillies that want, again, with the libertarian mindset.
I mean, maybe it's
with
not,
mindset. Well, hillbilly isn't bad. I'm a hillbilly. And way more have the mindset of you do you. And as long as you don't try to press on me or supersede me, like don't try to get super rights and don't stomp all over my rights at the same time, then nobody cares. And that's how I kind of take all of West Virginia, but nobody in the media wants to talk about West Virginia like that. They want to talk about them like they're backward. Yeah. And they're not backward in the least.
No, far from it. Yeah.
Good deal. I mean,
yeah. So how long have you been in your relationship now?
5 years. I
want to say.
Oh, you got somebody that I don't know.
Yes, I can. Wow. So you guys are in it for the long haul. That's great.
We're in it for the long haul. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I ain't kicking him out.
Now, what do you think about like adoption and things of that for the community?
Adoption is for me, but I think that adoption is a very good option for LGBT people, trans people who can't, who due to the process are sterilized. And I think that is extremely important to keep in mind. There are so many children who need a home and all of those things. And obviously, circling back, adoption is a big deal to me because of who I am and where I came from and all of that. So not the option for me, but I do think that people should, the adoption laws could use a little bit of work in West Virginia. Absolutely.
Are they more restrictive?
I agree.
Are they more restrictive than them, like, the names and the stuff like that?
Now you're asking, are they more restrictive
compared to other states? Like compared to other states, as far as adoption laws go, or do you know? I don't
know. So I haven't myself looked into it, but I have always heard that the adoption process is lengthy in West Virginia. A lot of people foster to adopt, and all of that, those are great things to do.
Sure. Yeah.
But I'm not 100% sure on how that process goes. I think that adoption laws in America could be looked at. Maybe
I totally agree.
That's the better.
Totally agree. It's too expensive. It's way too expensive, lengthy, and we have way too
like it's.
We have so many kids that could use permanent love instead of bouncing around.
That's right.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I'm so glad you're doing well, Lexa. Honestly, because I want to make sure that I know for JD and I and everybody watching, nobody wants anyone to be treated poorly and unfairly. And really, we all just need to see each other as humans and God loves us all type of thing. Right. So when I see my Facebook blow up, it it's concerning because I'm raising kids in this society. So, I always talk to them openly and we balance things out, and all of my kids do really good. And we don't swing hard to the left. We don't swing hard to the right. We stay
Good
right
for
in this.
you.
We stay
Good for
right
you.
in the center. We're center right for sure. I'm probably right.
Good for you.
And don't you say a thing over there, JD.
I probably have more loved ones and friends that do lean more right and are to the right, and they accept me as much as my friends that lean to the left and are actually on the left.
And
so
I think
that is also an unfair narrative
it
about
is
conservative people.
Yeah, it is, because honestly, people forget Republicans generally have a big libertarian streak. And honestly, most of my friends would be considered misfit island with the exception of a few. But when it comes to my Democrat friends, they won't hang with some of my friends on this side because they're not educated enough, or they don't dress this way or dress that way. And it's kind of insane how people have misconstrued that.
That's true. I think that it is that's another thing that the media wants to spin on everybody is that us conservative people and liberal people, all of those things, we can't get along. We can't have a conversation. It's got to blow up. It's going to, I haven't faced any hate from any of my right friends or anything like that. So they have sought to understand my life and that kind of thing and ask questions much like you all. And I'm very blessed with that. So
yeah. But today was a good conversation because I don't know about JD, how you prepared, but I did ask a few of my preacher friends about how their churches handle the LGBTQ community. And it has been the best day because I got back some of the most beautiful scriptures sent to me, and it all boiled down to we are called to love, and how a person goes through their journey of life is between them and God. It's not it's not for us to drag people out and stone them and beat them to death. That's not what we do. We're supposed to love, and that's how you spread the love of Christ. That's how me as a conservative and Alexa, who would be grouped into liberal, although she's clearly independent thinking and a free thinker, but she'll be grouped there just because of trans. It's how we can be friends and relate. You see what I'm saying?
That's right.
See, we're changing things on this podcast, JD, one at a time. And Alexa's helping us because it really shows we don't have to be enemies.
That's right. Yeah. I definitely didn't. I also didn't come on here and think, oh, they're really going to they're really going to get on to me and they're really going to, I did not think that. I instantly thought I was just coming on here, to have a conversation. I don't walk through life like that and think that people are going to be cruel to me. And so maybe that's why I also don't feel as though I've received a lot of hate and that kind of thing.
It does my heart good to know that you grew up in Wayne, West Virginia, you live in Huntington, West Virginia, and you live an abnormally normal life. That does me a tremendous amount of good. I'm tickled for it. I'm glad for it. And I can't thank you enough for coming on and speaking openly.
Thank you for having me.
And educating this ignorant hillbilly.
Oh, you're not ignorant at all.
And you were really good to give credit to like your counselors that you used and your friends and your Christian community and your significant other. Like, honestly, and that's what it takes to get through this journey of life, right? Is a whole crowd of people.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Alexa.
You're welcome.
Don, do you have anything else for Alexa?
No, I mean, thanks for loving on us and teaching us and taking the time to just walk us through things because, sometimes you can't really tell context on Facebook. And when JD got attacked the other day, I didn't.
Don was messaging me. She was hot. I can tell you.
I messaged him and I'm like, I'm fixing to get in there. But my husband Todd was like,
I hate it. I was reading it to you and I was like, oh God.
It was just a little much. I'm like, I'm going to have to get in there because they are attacking the liberal on the show.
Someone who isn't trying to spew.
Right.
Yeah. So that didn't get it at all. And the post wasn't anti anything. It was specifically about fairness in sports. And when we go down to being fair in sport, there are advantages that we have to consider when it comes to the trans community. And I agree it could be case by case, but it still is what it is. A picture speaks 1,000 words. Look at the pictures.
What hurts the most about something like that, though, just to be quite frank with you, is I know who I am, where my heart's at. And to to say that I'm transphobic or homophobic or anything like that is really bothersome to me. I really.
Well, when you
Even though I
first
know-
messaged me, you remember what I said. I said if you were being transphobic or homophobic, you wouldn't have even messaged me to have a conversation.
Right.
It
right.
wouldn't have been like that, and it wouldn't have been that you guys would have had me on if you were transphobic or one of those radical. You're not. Who is that guy that I cannot stand? That's so loud. He's got the gritty voice and all that. He always is trying to spew stuff, and I was like, I know I'm not going on there. So,
Yeah.
oh, who is it? Alex Jones? I can't.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh Lord. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I knew I wasn't.
I am not
going on
alcohol.
Alex
You're not.
Jones show.
Yeah.
I knew I wasn't going on there.
I don't know how we arrived to this place in society to where we allow people who aren't experiencing something be the voice for other people
That's
who are
a great
experiencing
point,
it.
Dawn.
So
I mean,
right.
really, I don't get it. Like, you have white people who are outraged over things that they've never lived through, and then they go and wreak havoc.
I actually got a
sorry.
message from that girl. She said, "You have no idea what these trans." Like, bitch, you ain't trans. What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I would have to be a liar if I said I do or no. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know. It's not my experience.
Right.
But I can have a friend in Alexia and share that experience through her. You know what I'm saying? And
Absolutely,
I'm thankful that you came on and shared it. I really am.
No, me too. I'm so glad I did.
Yeah.
Thank you guys
We'll
for
definitely
having me.
have to have you back.
Yeah, I'd love to come
for
back.
sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Hey,
come back
you
and hang out
and
with
your man
us.
need to come out to Huntington sometime and have a beer with me for sure. Oh, you
Yeah, we
live a sober
will,
life.
for
You live a
sure.
sober life. But
I live
anyway.
a sober lifestyle. Yep.
Yeah.
Completely.
Well, I'll buy you a Coke, whatever.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you so much, Alexa. We
Thank
hope you have the
you.
best week
You too.
ever. So,
All right. Hey, guys, I guess going to do it for here's the Just Add Bourbon podcast on the other side of the glass. Everybody that's in the comments, we appreciate you guys was to share our post, share this podcast on your Facebook. You can go to Spotify. You can hear this on the YouTube. You can watch it or hear it on Apple Podcasts. Anywhere you get your podcast, you can find the Just Add Bourbon podcast. And from myself and from Dawn, from Alexa, no matter how bad your day's been, or no matter how bad your week's been, no matter how bad your day's going, if you just add bourbon, it always just gets a little bit better. See you guys Sunday. Thank you, Alexa.
Thank you.